Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good afternoon to the respect panel of examiner. First of all, thank you for giving us the opportunity to present our research. My name is Nurfatina Syaaim binti Abdul Hamid and I will be presenting together with my group member Nabila Fitrin binti Muhammad Amin. Today, we are pleased to present our research entitled The Influence of Lecturer Competency on Student Satisfaction, the Mediating Role of Institutional Reputation in the Ticketing Course. This study focuses on examining the relationship between the lecturer competency, institutional reputation, and student satisfaction in the ticketing course. This presentation consists of 12 main sections. First, we begin with introduction, followed by the research problem and research gaps. Next, we will present the research objective, followed by the research framework, study variable, and research hypothesis. After that, we will explain the research methodology used in this study. Then, we will present the finding including the frequency analysis, descriptive analysis, and regression analysis. Finally, we will conclude the presentation with the conclusion of the study. As highlighted by UNWTO 2022, higher education play an important role in preparing competent graduates for the tourism industry. Therefore, tourism education should provide students with both theoretical knowledge and practical competency. One of the important courses is the ticketing course, where students learn airline reservation system, fare construction, travel documentation, and customer service. Since this course requires both academic knowledge and practical skill, lecturer competency become an important factor in enhancing student learning experience and satisfaction. Therefore, this study investigates the factor influencing student satisfaction in the ticketing course. The main research problem is that although lecturer competency and institutional reputation are recognized as important factors in higher education, there is still limited evidence regarding their influence on student satisfaction, specifically in the ticketing course. Previous studies have shown that institutional reputation can influence student perception of the quality and value of their education. At the same time, lecturer competency can affect student learning experience and educational outcome. However, most previous studies have focused on tourism program in general rather than examining specific practical courses such as ticketing course. Therefore, there is a need to investigate whether different dimensions of lecturer competency influence institutional reputation and subsequently student satisfaction among tourism students in Malaysian higher education institutions. Based on the previous literature, several research gaps have been identified. First, the individual dimension of lecturer competency are still unexplored. Lecturer competency consists of several aspects, including knowledge and credential, pedagogy skill, industry experience, and lecturer motivation. However, these dimensions are not always examined separately. Second, there are limited studies focusing specifically on the ticketing course. Most previous research has examined tourism education or higher education generally. Third, there is limited evidence regarding lecturer competency and student satisfaction within the context of Malaysian tourism education. And finally, although the institutional reputation is considered an important factor in student perception, it has rarely been examined as a mediator between lecturer competency and student satisfaction in the context of the ticketing course. Therefore, this study aimed to fill gaps by examining the relationship between lecturer competency, institutional reputation, and student satisfaction. The first objective is to analyze the influence of lecturer competency on student satisfaction in ticketing course. The second objective is to investigate the influence of institutional reputation on student satisfaction in ticketing course. And the third objective is to determine influence of lecturer competency on institutional reputation. This slide presents the research framework of our study. In this research, lecturer competency is the independent variable. Lecturer competency consists of 4 dimensions which are knowledge and credential, pedagogy skill, industry experience, and lecturer motivation. Institutional reputation acts the mediator variable. This means that lecturer competency may influence the student perception of the institutional reputation, which may affect student satisfaction. The dependent variable is student satisfaction. Therefore, the framework examines how the four dimensions of lecturer competency influence institutional reputation and how institutional reputation influence student satisfaction. Okay, next is study variable. The first variable is lecturer competency, which is independent variable. The first dimension is knowledge and credential. This refers to the lecturer, academic qualification, subject knowledge, and professional expertise. The second dimension is pedagogy skill. This refers to the lecturer ability to use method, explain course content clearly, and support student learning. And the third dimension is industrial experience. This refers to the lecturer practical experience and ability to connect classroom learning with real experience in tourism industry. The fourth dimension is lecturer motivation. This refers to the lecturer commitment, encouragement, and ability to create a positive learning environment. The mediator variable is institutional reputation, which refers to student overall perception of the quality, credibility, and image of their higher education institution. Finally, the dependent variable is student satisfaction, which refers to student level satisfaction with their learning experience and education in the ticketing course. Next is research hypothesis. Based on the literature review, 5 hypotheses were developed. Hypothesis 1 is knowledge and credential have a significant influence on institutional reputation. This is because students may associate lecturer academic qualification and subject expertise with the quality of credibility of the institution. Next is hypothesis 2. Pedagogy skills have a significant influence on institutional reputation. Effective teaching strategy may improve student learning experience and contribute to more positive perception of the institution. Next is hypothesis 3. Industrial experience has significant influence on institutional reputation. Lecturers with industry experience may be able to connect theoretical knowledge with real tourism practice and increase the relevance of the course. Next is hypothesis 4. Lecturer motivated has a significant influence on institutional reputation. Motivated and supportive lecturer may create more positive learning experience and strengthen student perception of the institution. And finally, hypothesis 5. Institutional reputation has significant influence on student satisfaction. Students who perceive their institution positively may have greater confidence in the quality and value of their education, which may lead to the higher satisfaction. Next, research methodology. For the research methodology, this study used a quantitative research design. A quantitative approach was selected because of the study aim to examine the relationship and influence between lecturer competency, institutional reputation, and student satisfaction using numerical data and statistical analysis. This study also used a cross-sectional research design. This means that data were collected for the respondent at one specific period of time. The study population consists of tourism students in Malaysian higher education institutions who have completed the ticketing course. These students were selected because they have direct experience with the course and they are able to evaluate lecturer competency, institutional reputation, and their level of dissatisfaction. Sampling technique. This study used non-probability sampling, specifically purposive sampling. Purposive sampling was selected because the respondent must fulfill specific criteria that are relevant to the objective of this study. In other words, only tourism students who have completed the ticketing course are eligible to participate. According to Roscoe guideline, an appropriate sample size for many research study is between 30 and 500 respondents. But for this study, the target sample is 300 respondents. This sample size is considered appropriate to provide sufficient data at statistic analysis and to examine relationship between the study variables. Finally, inclusion criteria. The inclusion criteria were established to ensure that the respondents are relevant to the purpose of the study. There are 3 inclusion criteria. First, respondents must be students enrolled in tourism program. Second, respondents must have complete the ticketing course. This is important because students need to have direct learning experience in the course before they can evaluate lecturer competency and their satisfaction. Third, respondent must be studying in Malaysia higher education institution. These criteria help ensure that the data collected are relevant and appropriate for the achieving objective of this study.
Thank you, Fatin. And hi, I am Fitrin and I will continue this presentation on data collection. In the current research, we applied a structured questionnaire which was modified mainly from Abdul Latif et al. 2025. This questionnaire comprised 6 constructs including knowledge and credentials, pedagogical skills, industrial experience, motivation of the lecturers, institution's reputation, and the students' satisfaction. Data collection was done using an online survey questionnaire which was conducted on Google Form and disseminated via WhatsApp, threads, and email to the students who had taken the ticketing course. The scale of measurement of all the questionnaire items was 5-point Likert scale, from 1 strongly disagree and to 5 strongly agree. Next, for the data analysis, in the process of collecting data, the questionnaire went through the process of pre-test whereby it was examined by the expert to check the content validity is good. And following this process, there was a pilot test done to establish the reliability of the questionnaire, and it was proven that the questionnaire had all the constructs reliable. In the actual research process, data was obtained from 300 respondents who satisfied the sampling requirements. Finally, there was an analysis of the data using SPSS version 27. The technique involved frequency analysis for descriptive purpose on the demographic profile of respondents and mean score analysis for measuring students' perceptions on each construct. Table 4.2 presents the demographic characteristics of the 300 respondents involved in this study. In terms of gender, the distribution was relatively balanced with 52.7% female respondents and 47.3% male respondents. All respondents representing 100% and complete the ticketing course, ensuring they had relevant experience related to this study. For age, the majority of respondents were between 18 to 24 years old, representing 67%, while 33% were aged 25 to 34 years old. These indicate that the most participants were young tertiary level tourism students. Regarding year of study, final year students formed the largest group with 44.3%, followed by year 2, year 3, and year 1 students. In terms of program, most respondents were from the degree in tourism management, followed by other tourism management programs and diploma in tourism management. Overall, the demographic distribution shows that the respondents provide diverse perspective on lecturer competency, institutional reputation, and student satisfaction in their ticketing course. Next, the table 4.3 presents the descriptive statistic analysis conducted to achieve the first objective, which is to examine the respondents' perceptions of lecture competency, institutional reputation, and student satisfaction. Overall, all constructs recorded mean scores above 4.00, indicating that respondents generally agreed with the statement provided. The standard deviation values range from 0.157 to 0.360, showing that the response were consistent with low variation among respondents. Among all constructs, the student satisfaction recorded the highest mean score of 4.2171, indicating that the respondents were highly satisfied with their learning experience. This was followed by the motivation and pedagogy skills, with both mean score of 4.1787, reflecting the positive perceptions toward lecturer ability to motivate students and deliver effective teaching method. Institutional reputation recorded a mean of 4.1642, followed by the knowledge and credentials at 4.1358. Industrial experience recorded the lowest mean of 4.0942. It is still indicated as high level of agreement. And this finding shows that the respondents had a positive perceptions toward lecture competency, institutional reputation, and student satisfaction in this ticketing course. This 4.4 table represents the linear regression analysis used to test the relationship between lecture competency, institutional reputation, and the student satisfaction. The model was significant with R square equal to 0.833 and the R square equal to 0.693, showing that the 69.3% of the variance was explained by the predictors. The finding shows that the knowledge and credential and motivation significantly influence institutional reputation, which supporting the H1 and H4. However, pedagogic skills was not significant, while industrial experience showed a significant negative relationship. Finally, institutional reputation significantly influenced student satisfaction supporting H5. Our discussion produced 5 main findings. First, knowledge and credential significantly improved the institutional reputation, showing that the students associate qualified lecturers with high quality education, consistent with Abdul Latif et al. 2025. And second, the pedagogic skills were not significant, although students appreciated affecting teaching skills alone were not enough to improve the institutional reputation because students appeared to value lecturers' expertise and motivation more. And the third one is the industrial experience, which showed a significant but negative relationship, which was contrary to previous studies. Fourth, lecturer motivation was the strongest predictor of institutional reputation, highlighting the enthusiastic and supportive lecturers greatly influence students' perception. And finally, the institutional reputation significantly increased the student satisfaction, indicating the students are more satisfied if they believe their institution has a strong academic reputation. Based on our research, the finding provides several practical implications which universities should recruit lecturers with strong academic qualification while continuously supporting lecturer development and motivation. Institutions should also strengthen industry engagement through professional certifications and industry attachment so lecturers can connect theory with current practices. And finally, universities should focus on maintaining educational quality, graduate employability, and strong industry partnership because these factors help build institutional reputation and improve student satisfaction based on this ticketing course. This study contributes to the existing literature by expanding the understanding of lecture competency within the context of the ticketing module. The findings highlight the knowledge and qualification as well as lecturer motivations are important factors in shaping institutional reputation. The study confirms that institutional reputation plays a significant role in enhancing student satisfaction. However, the finding also shows that pedagogical skills and industrial experience did not produce the expected outcomes, suggesting that these areas require further investigation in future research. Overall, this study provides valuable insight into how lecture competency and institutional reputation that influence the students' learning experience in this course. In conclusion, this study successfully achieved all research objectives by examining the relationship between lecture competency, institutional reputation, and student satisfaction in ticketing course. The finding shows that knowledge and credentials as well as lecturer motivation are important factors in strengthening institutional reputation, with motivation being the strongest predictors. Furthermore, institutional reputation significantly influences the student's satisfaction. Furthermore, institutional reputation significantly influences student satisfaction. Although pedagogical skills and industrial experience did not show the expected result, these findings provide opportunities for future research. Overall, this study contributes valuable insight for higher education institutions to improve teaching quality, strengthen reputation, and enhance student learning experience. And that's all from us. Thank you.